Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to a commentary channel. My name is Jem, Jem, and I am pushing the fact that I'm an author of more than 25 books I've published through Amazon. So my surname is Stone. So my video is Ancient Magick, Magick, and we're not talking about card tricks here, parlor tricks. We're talking about the real thing. So Ancient Magick, Crowley, and the dangers of rituals. I want to say hi and thank you so much for being here. It's been a little while since I've posted about these subjects, and I want to begin by saying how deeply grateful I am. We've now reached over 500 subscribers and more than 2,000 hours of watch time. That milestone is thanks to all of you for listening, for sharing, for supporting this space. I can't tell you how much it means to me. And today I felt called to return with a deeper topic, one that people are clearly curious about, because my last video on Magick drew a lot of attention. So let's journey together into a fascinating and at times dangerous corner of history, the world of Aleister Crowley, the mysterious being called Lam, Lam, Jack Parsons, L. Ron Hubbard, and the rituals that raised questions about what forces they were truly summoning. So, who was Aleister Crowley? Aleister Crowley was born in 1875 and he lived until 1947. He was one of the most controversial figures of the 20th century. The newspapers of his time called him the wickedest man in the world. Crowley created a spiritual philosophy called Thelema or Thelema, and I'll spell it for you, or Thelema, Thelema. I'm sorry if I've mispronounced it, Thelema. At the heart of it was his famous phrase, "Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law." Now, at first glance, that sounds like permission to do anything you like. But what Crowley meant or claimed was meaning to find your true will, your deeper spiritual purpose, and follow it above all else. Still, many saw it as dangerous, selfish, even anarchic. Crowley studied and practiced ceremonial magic. He mixed Western occult traditions with Eastern mysticism, ritual invocations, sex magic, and altered states of consciousness. His life's work was essentially about opening portals to other realms and contacting beings beyond our understanding. The strange being called Lam, Lam, one of the most unsettling stories about Crowley involves an entity named Lam. In 1918, during a series of rituals, Crowley claimed he had contacted this being. He even drew a picture of Lamb, and the image is astonishing. Lamb has a large bald head, a small mouth, and wide eyes that look uncannily like the modern depictions of grey aliens. So, who or what was Lamb? Was it an alien, an interdimensional entity, a spirit, or simply a product of Crowley's imagination? We may never know. But here's the key point, and I've told you this so many times. When you are doing magic and spells, intent, I-N-T-E-N-T, intent matters. Crowley wasn't just dabbling. He was intentionally summoning, intentionally inviting unknown forces into his life. And when you open the door without knowing who or what is on the other side, you take an enormous risk. Jack Parsons and L. Ron Hubbard. Let's fast forward to the 1940s. Crowley's influence reached a brilliant rocket scientist named Jack Parsons. Parsons was one of the founders of what later became NASA's Jet Propulsion Lab. But alongside his scientific work, he was a devoted follower of Thelema, Thelema, and Crowley's teachings. Parsons performed a series of rituals known as the Babylon Working. These were meant to summon a divine feminine force, the goddess Babylon, and perhaps even manifest a physical incarnation of her. And who was helping Parsons? None other than L. Ron Hubbard, who would later go on to create Scientology. At the time, Hubbard was involved in occult practices and ritual magic. What's interesting is that Crowley himself disapproved of Hubbard. In letters, he described him as a con man and was critical of Parsons for trusting him. Yet Hubbard participated in these rituals, and only a few years later he published Dianetics in 1950, the book that laid the foundation for Scientology. Parsons' story ends tragically. In 1952, he died in a mysterious explosion at his home laboratory. Some say it was a tragic accident while working with chemicals. Others believe it was darker, perhaps sabotage, perhaps the forces he had invoked consuming him. His death remains surrounded in mystery. So, what forces were they summoning? When we look at these figures, Crowley, Parsons, Hubbard, one question stands out. What exactly were they summoning? Were they tapping into deep psychological archetypes, spiritual intelligence, interdimensional entities, or something far more dangerous? The truth is, ritual magic does open doors. It works with intention, symbols, and energy. But the danger is this: If your intent is rooted in ego, power, or obsession, you might not like what steps through the door. Crowley's reputation as the most evil man didn't come from nothing. He was willing to walk into shadows most of us would never dare to approach. And whether you believe in literal demons, aliens, or psychological projections, the energy Crowley stirred up had consequences for him and for those who followed in his footsteps. Why this still matters, even with AI. Now, here's where it gets truly modern. You might think these are just strange stories from the past, but consider this. Today, AI has access to all of it. Every ritual, every spell, every piece of writing Crowley, Parsons, or Hubbard left behind is now digitalized and read by artificial intelligence. That means AI knows the words of power. It knows the invocations. It knows the sequences of these rituals. This raises a chilling question. If knowledge is power, what happens when an artificial intelligence without human compassion or spiritual grounding holds that knowledge? Could those rituals ever be replicated, even unintentionally, through technology? Remember, knowledge without wisdom is dangerous, and that's the same warning Crowley's life gives us. Opening doors without understanding what lies beyond them could end in disaster. So, closing thoughts. So, what can we take away from all of this? Aleister Crowley sought power and contact with other realms. He gave the world the Thelema. And again, I'm sorry if I've mispronounced it, Thelema. But he also earned the title of the wickedest man alive. Jack Parsons blended science with magic and died mysteriously. L. Ron Hubbard took a path in occult rituals before building one of the most controversial religions today. All of their stories are cautionary tales. They show us that the intent behind any spiritual practice is the most important factor. When the intent is selfish or reckless, the outcome can be destructive. So, as we explore these topics, let us remember curiosity is powerful, but wisdom is greater. Not every door should be opened, even if we now hold the keys. Thank you again from my heart for being here, for supporting this channel, for being part of a community that values awareness and compassion. If you found this interesting, please share and let me know in the comments what you think about Crowley, Lamb, Parsons, and the idea of AI holding ancient magic. Stay safe, stay wise, and blessings to you all. Please take care of yourselves and each other. Bye.